this lecture, we will discuss domain of AWS. When we talk about its domain, first thing in our mind is compute capacity. That that should come to our mind is, and in compute capacity, first is EC2, that is elastic cloud compute, and what it does is it lets we let's have a it's actually a raw server resizable compute capacity where we can host a website, and it is a clean slate. What do I mean by this? Say for example, we go ahead and buy a laptop. It is a clean device where we can have our own OS. We can choose which OS we want and all those things accordingly. Our EC2 is again a clean slate, and we can do so many things this thing with it. Now next we have elastic beanstalk. With let's we deploy our various application on AWS, and the only thing we need to know about this is we do not have to worry about the underlying architecture. Now it is very similar to EC2, and the only difference between these two is as far as our elastic beanstalk is concerned, we can think it as a predefined library, whereas our EC2 is clean slate. When I say predefined libraries, for example, if you want to use Java, as far as easy to goes, don't take it literally. I'm taking only example to make you understand. I'm taking Java for an example. We will have to say an example, install everything from beginning and start from fresh. But as far as our elastic beanstalk, this is concerned, it has a lots of predefined library, and we can just go ahead and use those because there is an underlying architecture which is define everything. Next we have migration. Okay, next domain of AWS is migration. We talk about migration, we need to understand one thing. AWS has a global architecture, and there would be a requirement for migration. And what AWS does is it lets we have physical migration as well. That means we can physically move our data to the data center which we desire now. Why do we need to do that? Say for example that through internet, that same thing, for example I am sending an email somebody, I can do that through an internet. But imagine if we have to give somebody GBs of data, 10 GB, 8 GB, or for example if we want to send a movie or some video evidence or anything, so instead of sending it online, we can actually go ahead and give it to someone if that person means reachable for me, and that way it would be more better for me, my data remains secure, and so many other things. So same in Same is with data migration as well. And when we talk about AWS, it has something called as snowball, which actually let us move this data physically now. Thereafter we have now we talk about security. We have various service, and it actually help us in migration a lot. A lot. Now we have another domain, that is security and compliance. Now when we talk about security, we have various services like I have IAM, we have KMS, and when I say IAM, it is nothing identification and authentication management tools. We have KMS, which let us actually go ahead and create our own public and private key, and that help us keep our system secure. The quite a few other services as well, but I would be mentioning one or two services from each domain, because as we go move further in future session, we would be discussing each of these services in details, and that is when I would be throwing a lot more light on this topic. For now I would be giving here one or two example, and because I want you all to understand these to some extent, getting into details of all these things, getting all those things would be too heavy for people, because the quite a few domain and quite a few services that we need to cover, and as we move further, definitely we would be covering all those services in details. Again, AWS has a quite few services to offer to us. We have something called as S3 for storage. We have next domain, that is storage. For storage there is S3, simple storage service. Okay, S3 is nothing but simple storage service. S3 work as a bucket object kind of thing. Our storage place is called as a bucket, and our object which we store in it nothing but our file. Now these objects have to be stored in their root file, which act as the bucket basically. And then we have something called as CloudFront, which is nothing but content delivery network. We have something called as Glacier. Now when we talk about Glacier, we can think of it as a place where we can store archive, because it is highly affordable. Next we have networking. Next domain is networking. In networking we will talk about the services like VPC, that is virtual private cloud, direct connect, route 53. Route 53 is nothing but it's a DNS. When I say VPC, it's a virtual network which actually lets us move or launch resource that is in our AWS resources. Basically, when we talk about direct connect, we can think of it as a lease internet connection which can be used within AWS. Now in this next thing in this list is messaging. AWS provide messaging facility also. When we have something called as messaging. Yes, AWS ensures secure messaging and the quite a few applications to take care of that as well. We have something called as cloud trial. We have ops work. All these things there help us in messaging or communicating with other parties. Now, storage, next thing is in our AWS domain is database. Now, storage and database are similar, but we have to understand one thing. When we talk about storage, that is where we store our executable file. So there is the difference between the two. And when we talk about database, we have something called as our Aurora, which is very SQL like, and it perform various SQL various SQL operation at very faster rate. And according to Amazon, it claimed that it has 5 times faster than that what a SQL is. So yes, when we talk about Aurora, again a great service to have. We have also other type of database, that is DynamoDB. DynamoDB database is nothing but it's a non-relational database, DBMS. When we talk about non-relational DBMS, I won't be discussing that, but this help us in dealing with various unstructured data sources as well. Next in this list is management tools. When we talk about management tools, we have something called as CloudWatch, which is monitoring tool, and it lets us set alarm and all those things. Hopefully when we are done with the demo part, we would have having at least one of the part of CloudWatch code, because we would creating alarm using code in upcoming video. So stay tuned for that as well. So this is about AWS and it basic as in the point we just discussed that as what is the its use has, its advantage, its domain, its architecture, and etc. Now we discuss everything that is in compute. There is Lambda, EC2, Beanstalk, migration, Snowfall, security and compliance, storage, S3, networking, Route 53, and for messaging we have Amazon provide us secure messaging facility. For database, DynamoDB and Aurora. For management tool, IAM, etc. Now we will go to how we read this thing. Actually, Amazon provide a free tier. So guys, what does look here? Amazon provided a free AWS tier, that it provides 12-month free access to various services. So what we have done is we have go ahead and switch into in my AWS console. The first thing we need to understand is that AWS it offer a free trial tier. Now which I was talking about this thing, just rush through it because I know that was going to give a demo on this thing details. So I want to discuss this thing in details. Now when we talk about AWS, if you are beginner, this is where you start. Now What AWS does is provide you with a free tier which is accessible to you for 12 month free trial 12 month. And quite a few services which we just discussed which are available to us for free. And when I say free, the certain limitation, there is certain limitation actually that for that limitation on it, as in these many hour is what you can use it for, and this is the amount of memory or storage you can use in total, and all those things, and its capacity which you can create, and all those things. What AWS does is it gives you these services for free as long as you stay in limit that AWS has set. You won't be charged anything, and trust me, when it is for learning purpose, that is more than enough. And let's quick go ahead and take then. There are a few other points which I would like to discuss as well. But firstly, the free tier services, and say this is what it offer to us for 12 months of free product. Its popular service, that is EC2. Compute services, it provided EC2, and for EC2 it provided 750 hour per month free, and also S3 services 5 GB S3. And it's when we go ahead and explore many things, then we will understand that there is T2 micro or T3 micro instance on some region, and these free services are also depend upon region. But in Indian region, maybe price will different. Yes, in Indian region, price will be more than US. But we don't bother about price here because they all things are free for 1 year. And Amazon quick site which gives 1 GB of space capacity. Now I don't want to go more details. Other thing, we have RDS relational database services, which is also again 750 hour per month free, 750 hour. Next, DynamoDB 25 GB. AWS Lambda total 1 million free request per month. It's also come under compute capacity. Lambda, I will discuss it in details when we will discuss compute services especially, and many things you can see. You can go in this that www.aws.amazon.com/free. There you can see that lots of services is provided free, and also they provide you certificate. These services are free, and for me, I am internationally certified AWS educator, so I can provide approximate 26 courses. Actually, I am AWS certified educator. Thank you.